it's 5:04. And roll call, everybody is here. We've got myself, Councilmember Moshe Campoli, and Councilmember Walsh Russo, and Councilmember Harrington, all here today. Thank you. And did everybody have a chance to review the minutes? Any comments, feedback, anything? You accept the minutes?
Yep.
Okay. Everyone accepts the minutes. And then, so our first topic today is city building naming uniformity. And this is one we had looked over some documents the last time about the street naming, and then we had some feedback from other council members to consider this as well. All right, because we had asked for feedback on a couple of questions. Specifically, we wanted to know what buildings, parks, or other properties council members would like to see included in a potential policy. Who would make a proposal? Could it come from the public or council? And are we looking for time limited or permanent designations? So the feedback that we got, it sounds like folks are open to having nominations come from the public or from council. And it sounds like people are looking for, the council is looking for council approval, at least one suggested permanent designation. Another suggested that we should have a protocol to remove, even if it was a permanent designation, so that's something we might want to consider. It sounded like there was an interest in, including spaces other than just buildings, which is where we'd started. So, did everybody, I think that those comments went to all of us, or at least most of them did, about the building naming uniformity, sorry.
I think if we have a removal, you wouldn't have to worry about it, whether it's permanent or not permanent, because the council could remove it. I think
Yeah.
that might be the easiest way of going about, so we have a process.
The process, yeah, that was one of the, like I said, one of the suggestions there was process for removal. And the idea was, what if something came to light later that changed people's minds about, something who'd been named.
Which I think, hear Dave's little voice in the back of my head going, council only needs 5 votes to do this.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's already there, the council can do what we need to do, but, the only thing is, like, in that streets, Greg, I know you're gonna remember this, I'm not, that's not for a long, it expires after a certain amount of time, and they have to resubmit. So,
Yeah, I'd have to check.
I think it's like 10, 20.
I think it was 10 years.
I think we said it.
I think
10
that one
years.
was 10, if I remember correctly. I think when we did something, when we were looking at like naming, the transportation center, I don't think we put an amount of time with something like that though, right?
No.
I think that was just to name it.
That was just
Yeah.
to carry the name over from. The other thing is I don't, with the street one, you have to have passed away
Oh.
before you can have a name. And I really honestly think you ought to take that, we ought to take that out of the street naming policy.
Okay.
I think it should just be if you get nominated, you're nominated. Because
So they don't have to be deceased. Yeah, it could be living or, yeah.
I kind of think the same here, like, you should be able to be, kind of like Muller Plaza, mayor's, she's still alive. So,
Yeah, that's a very good point. Any thoughts about about who could make a proposal. I don't know if we've had proposals come from the public before, but that was something that had come up in discussion.
Who could make them?
Yeah, like would the proposal have to come from council? Could the public make proposals? There'd been some discussion about what that would look like.
How do we do that with the streets? They make to this committee, right? Is that how we set that up?
Requests from the public for honorary street name dedication shall be submitted in writing to the city clerk with an application fee set by the common council, which criteria they have to meet. They'll be accepted during the month of January and will be considered by the council beginning in February.
I think if we can mimic, more we can mimic that, I think the better.
I think the in writing part is the important part, right?
Yeah. I think you,
So to the city clerk,
to the left,
to the city clerk.
yes.
And then the process is after that, to the city clerk and then to
Council.
council.
To
Doesn't
council,
Not to
specify-
the committee.
Doesn't specify
Yeah.
a committee.
Uh-huh.
I think that could be,
Yeah.
you know, open depending on the committees that exist at the time. I think that was the thinking that they change from
Yeah.
mayor to mayor sometimes, so.
That's true, because if it goes to council and if it's a building that seems like it would be under the purview, you know, Parks and Rec, or, you know, whatever, you know, we could also consult with the committee, you know, before bringing it, for a full vote.
I think the big thing is to make sure it's standardized, like in the streets,
Yeah.
we made sure that the signs were standardized to what the city already has. And I know we were talking about trying to standardize our font sizes and all that
Yeah.
stuff on our city buildings to make it easier when we order things. But it should be, and then if they're going, if this goes through, if it's, here's where it's gonna get touchy on this one, because if it comes from the council, who's gonna pay for the sign versus if it comes from the public, like on the streets, whoever makes that nomination, whatever has to pay for that signage, take on that signage. If something happens to that sign, they still got, that they wanna replace, have to pay for it.
The only thing I'd say about a building sign, it might, depending on the building, you may or may not want an actual sign on the side of it. I'm not sure what a sign on the front of City Hall would look like and how that might
I was
fit into
thinking
the
of a
character.
window or something like that, something
So
easy.
it might vary in what it looks like based on the building. The size,
Yeah.
you might want there to be some variability there, and plus the cost is probably be a lot significantly higher than building signs, and maybe it's more case by case basis in the case of building, rather than standardized like font size, but
Because I'm thinking like, you know, like this building is a much different building than like the public safety building and like, you know,
Yeah.
the armory or, you know, something in the park, you know.
Right.
What if you, maybe like they put up like a, not quite like the historical signs, but something like that where it can be placards or
Like a
something.
plaque, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that may be most appropriate for some buildings, rather than a big sign on the exterior, somewhere at the entrance, something commemorating the person
Okay.
maybe named after.
Probably depends, yeah, like, again, on the type of building and the placement, the location. What else have we, is there anything else, any other thoughts on this? Did you have any other
No.
thoughts about how to go about this? So it sounds like we have our idea of what we want, you know, just gonna do a quick check back and see if there's anything I missed from our comments here before I move on. I think that we've covered it, feedback that we got, so that was helpful, thanks to Brittany who gave us that. All right, ready to move on then to the next one?
So where are we at with it in terms
Oh,
of where
so-
does it go from here?
That's right. So I think from here, we've got we've got our ideas of what we want, right? So you're right, where do we go from here with it? What is our next step? Do we need to bring this back to council to consider the recommendations that we've come up with?
I think what we could, if I may, I think what we could do is we could summarize the discussion and we could maybe think about drafting a motion.
Draft, I would draft, like, how we did it with the streets one. was
Yeah.
we kind of sat down and drafted it up.
Right.
Okay,
And
A motion?
then the
Or
actual policy.
it would be
Or
a
the
policy, I
And
think,
then
yeah.
brought it forward
Mhm.
to adopt it.
Okay, so we
Okay.
could do that for our next meeting, with the draft policy.
And I think that's a good, the street ones, I think I pretty much think if you probably just almost mirror that
Yep,
and save a lot of time.
I think so. I think, because if we keep referring back to that, so I think we can kind of, get to the bare bones of that and fill in what we, our recommendations from here, right? Yep,
Okay. So will you do that?
I can do that.
Okay.
yeah, because I know I have that saved, so I can go through and script that out, and I can share that with you guys and make sure that,
Do we want it for this upcoming council meeting?
do we want to do it that soon? Do we want to bring it back here? Look at the draft, or are you guys good with looking at the draft and sending it right along?
You can have time to do it between now and.
When is it, next week?
Mhm.
That might be too soon.
A week ago, a week from now.
Maybe the one after that.
So in May, yeah.
Yeah,
Or
so-
mid-May,
I'll still do it in May.
mid-May.
If I don't have it done by next week, it'll be by the next one, because this won't be too hard, but yeah, it is a week away. So I want to make sure, because I know I really have to have it done in a couple of days in order to have it in time for the packets.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Okay, and then the next topic is emergency preparedness. We did have some updates about this one, right, as far as FEMA and availability for trainings, right?
Yeah, so Carrie's gonna turn on the screens and just show you the website. We'll send an email out to council and the mayor with the link, but there's a FEMA site that is back up again, that has these independent study trainings you can do on your own online. Dave Lincoln, our emergency management specialist, part-timer, recommended 4 courses that the city elected officials should take as a baseline. Again, we can email this out, but they're 100, 200, 700, 800 are the numbers. And I don't know, Carrie, if they've got a description of those right there, or if we just want to send this out in an email, it'd be easier to read.
Send out an email to let you know. There's just kind of an introductory to the website. You can either go right up to the top, and the more common courses will be found like right there. So the 100, your introduction to ICS, your 200, the basic incident command system, all of that familiarity stuff will be right there. But also you have the ability to just type in the independent study course that you're looking for, and it will pull up everything that matches. So you'll be able to find the ICS 100 there as well.
Thank you.
So what would be the incentive for council to do this?
Oh, say that again?
Or what would be the incentive for council to do these courses?
Incentive, learning
Yeah.
about incident management,
Incident.
communication. So I think it really is, I mean, Carrie, Scott jumped in, but this is kind of setting a framework for understanding how, incidents are managed in this system.
And how
Very
long?
generic way to say it, so it's not exciting,
Yes,
but it's gonna give you an idea of
Right, 'cause
how
this
things are
is-
structured.
like you said, it's very basic, it's an overview, it's not specific to the city of Oneonta, but it's gonna give us an
Yeah.
overview of what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Do we know how long each of these are? Just
I
for-
would give about an hour for each.
Okay, so about an hour, so it's like 4 hours of like
Yeah.
self-guided training that
Self-guided
council members
training.
could do on their own time, at their convenience,
You take a test at the end.
Create a login, there's a test at the end that I haven't done them through I did them 15 years ago and they were in person, but I'm imagining there's a little quick score and then
Little
you
they
get
can
pass
find out
certificate.
immediately.
Okay.
Well, I'm just wondering, I'm asking about incentives because when people are busy, if they're not getting maybe public recognition for their work, it's maybe, will be tossed, to the side. So I'm just curious if there's a way in which maybe we could do
Yeah.
something to publicly recognize. Over here. Oh, yeah, because, oh, no, I thought it was right. I just wonder if there's a way in which, it's out of sight now. I'm just wondering if there's a way in which we could incentivize to have council do this so that they could, get some sort of public recognition that they could put on their that were publicly.
At one time, New York State mandated all elected officials
To
to
do
do it.
this.
I don't know if they still do or not.
Not since we've joined.
Not that I'm aware
Did you get anything about it?
No.
No. So I don't think that's the case anymore, which is too bad.
We could add something to the little description under each council member's.
That's what I'm wondering.
On the city website.
That's what I'm thinking.
You know, I think that space is kind of up to each of you to give your credentials or
Mhm.
background or whatever you'd like. So you can add in there, you've completed, you can do the same thing with the NICON Elected Officials Academy, those kind of
Yeah.
courses, which are not anything to do with public safety or incident management, but that's something else you might want to put on there just as an FYI for the community.
Mhm.
I think so.
Yep.
I think we should probably make an announcement to council about those too.
Yes, I was gonna say some public recognition at the meetings would be good too. We have the, mayor recognize,
Yes,
members who
yes,
have,
that's even, yeah,
achieved that credential.
yeah.
I think the big selling point to having the council do this is so the city staff knows that we're trying to learn what their jobs are.
Yeah, so to support our city staff, yeah,
To understand.
okay. I'm gonna include all of
I mean,
that.
I'm not saying that there should only be public recognition. I'm trying to think about it, if I were somebody who didn't really care, what I would need in order to, think
Yeah.
about
What may make that more.
what would I write?
If you
What
want
would
your-
make me prioritize
If you want your
something?
slice of pizza during the budget meeting, you gotta make sure you have your
Yeah,
stuff
my
done.
free slice.
There you go. I
Yeah,
think those are some good ideas, and I can also, when I, present a summary of the next council meeting and,
Yeah.
mention this, that we're gonna be getting this email from Carrie about this, I can mention that, and talk to the mayor ahead of time so he's not surprised that we'd like him to, bring some public recognition
Yeah.
to that too.
I think so,
So.
because I think that would help.
I like that positive approach too, where we can take that,
Yeah.
We don't have much, that we can do to hold people, accountable to that otherwise, so I think finding a way to motivate and incentivize people is a good way to go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Has there been anything sort of, we haven't met for a month, I'm just curious about, in terms of emergency preparedness, getting it codified on the website, on the city website?
We,
That- That sort of,
Yeah, so we've had our initial coordination meeting with Transcendex, which is the Contingency Management Consulting Group's new name that we've recently hired to update our comprehensive emergency plan. I mentioned that to them in that first meeting, that by the end of this, we'd like their recommendations as to what we might include if we were to codify something. So it's something that will be coming back, but we don't have a proposal right now.
okay.
Our formal kickoff meeting, I think, is this week.
2 days from now? I feel like it's the 29th.
Sure.
They're planning.
It's coming up
All
soon.
right, yeah.
So that process is going along.
That's with the consultant?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Yeah, anything else with emergency preparedness? Okay.
Well, I guess maybe just
Yeah.
that maybe we could touch back on this for our next.
As far as,
Yeah.
come back to the comprehensive
Yeah.
and emergency plan and checking on that, yeah.
Yeah, and also just
We
to
can
see
even follow
if
up about
we-
the training.
Yes,
To check in and see, how
Yes.
that's working out for folks.
yes. If people have had a chance.
Okay.
All right,
All right.
that's all I have to say.
Our next topic is artificial intelligence data center. And I sent out a Dropbox with a bunch of information about some different approaches from various different sites. I know Judy had put that all together, so thank you for coming to, answer any questions we might have about that as well. So, you didn't get that?
I didn't-
Dropbox?
I didn't see.
Oh, okay. Did you get that, Scott?
I don't remember seeing it,
All right.
it doesn't mean I didn't get it,
Okay.
'cause
I
sometimes
would have
I
been looking for it.
failed to
so
see
I
the
didn't
Dropbox
see it.
and
Maybe you
things.
sent it and I just.
Okay, so there were several documents, so that compare how different cities have approached moratoriums, regulations around data centers. So, I don't know, Judy, are you able to give kind of an overview for them? I know it's a lot of information that you put together,
Well, all
but.
it was questions I asked ChatGPT
Mhm.
about what codes and the city could do relative to AI data centers and what was happening out there in the state. And my concern, since the planning and development department was created, was just simply, we don't have anything in place. I guess there's been a few yards, and we know what's going on outside of the city, as close as the town. So I did those searches for myself, just to try to get some information for me, about what other communities are doing. Again, it's using AI. I recognize the irony of this, to look up what to do about AI data centers. But I think we should at least have a conversation about what the city should be doing, what kind of guardrails we need in the code. And so that's about all I have.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm not sure, I'm sorry that didn't get to you guys. I can definitely try to send, if it's easier, maybe even just send the documents. But, yeah, go
Are
ahead.
you hoping to do a more of a, yeah,
Well, that
Moratorium.
Yes,
was one
that's the word.
piece, so that was one piece that we
For-
were looking at, in order to give us time potentially to study this issue further and come up with, I mean, because looking through, you know, like the research that she put together, there are a lot of different ways the communities are approaching this. You know, and the moratorium would just be a temporary thing, you know, to give the city time to study the issue, you know, without other projects coming forward during that time.
You know, I'm just gonna say this for the record, I think these policies on a local level are gonna be incredibly limited. Really, this has to be on the state and federal level, and those are not forthcoming, but, you know, that said, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't have, you know, something on the books
Yeah.
that, you know, is quite clear about what our policies are, but I think they're gonna be limited in terms of what we can actually do. I think it really, the strong legislation and policy is gonna be from above, but, and then, in fact, I would make that a normative claim, I think that's where it should come
Yeah,
from, probably.
yeah.
But,
And in that case, maybe it even serves the purpose to allow, you know, something further, you know, to develop there too.
right,
so who wants to write a one-year moratorium?
Well, we have some examples
So,
we can look at.
right,
I guess I wanna just back up a minute
Yeah.
and just ask about the inquiries about the rail yards. You know, was this council not informed of these inquiries, like, so what's the status of those
All I
inquiries?
know is what was in the paper a while back,
Okay,
and that, you know, I had been thinking about it, been watching what's happening in town,
yeah,
and just understand that, you know, now I'm involved in this Department of Codes office, that,
sure,
it's something that we should at least take a look at.
Absolutely.
I don't think you can prevent them, but you can certainly, have something in the code to make sure that they're answering the questions about the
Yes.
water use and
Yeah.
yeah,
the environmental issues and things like that, which we don't have.
Right, and that's a lot of what I saw is that a lot of other municipalities are looking to strengthen like the seeker process around this and include things around environmental justice, and, you know, looking at noise pollution and all of these other things that are kind of more particular, right, to these data center operations.
so it's a bit of a reckoning, maybe, yeah.
because the amount of water I see
Yeah.
these things
Yeah.
use. we
The
will-
water
Increasing
huge.
inequity around water
Yeah.
distribution.
Electric too.
Yeah.
And we already have a problem here.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, Greg, would you have any information about these inquiries that were made for the rail yards?
No, I've not been contacted or
Okay.
had any meetings regarding that.
Because I had not either, and so I was not aware of those inquiries as a council person, and I was, you know, not aware, yeah, so, and I just wanted further details that.
I don't have any, I didn't look into that.
It's probably through Otsego.
I was gonna
It's
say,
through us,
I
so
believe
now.
I heard that it came.
It's not through the
the-
city,
It
right?
was, yeah, it was an article a ways back in the Daily Star, Jody Zapreski had some
Right,
contacts, I don't know, I didn't talk to him about it,
right,
but it just made me think. you know,
absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
We need to be having the conversation.
yeah. And that's exactly why I brought it up to you, because I mean, we're in a position right now where we can be proactive and we don't wanna wait until we're in a position where we have to react.
So I say we're kind of moratorium, use it for a year, give us time to look, work with codes and.
Okay, well, we did have some examples, okay, so you know, again, I apologize if you guys didn't get the documents, but I can resend those, we can look at the example moratoriums, like the town, I know, put one together, and there were some other examples, so I think this is, again, one where we don't have to reinvent the wheel, we can look at that and, you know, see what
I'd turn right around to our city attorney, because he's wrote a ton of them.
Yeah,
And just be like, can you write us one for this, and we'll have it on for the next meeting.
yeah. Is that something that you can, get for us?
Oh, yes, sorry,
Okay,
absolutely.
all right.
For the next
I think I sent you.
quality of life meeting.
Yeah,
Just
right.
Want a quality of life, or you wanna go up to?
Or do you want to just bring it right to council? I mean,
we
we've
should
already
bring it
talked about it, so maybe we should just
I
bring it
agree.
right to council.
I think we should go to council,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or I don't think, we've talked about
yeah,
this.
yeah.
Also, NICOM supposedly has resources for this
Oh, okay.
as
That's
well.
good to know.
I was directed to look at NICOM materials.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, my stuff that I gave, mainly just ChatGPT searches, that's it, nothing formal, nothing official, nothing.
But like I said, what it did give,
Started asking questions just to have a place to start.
and it gave me the impression that taking that time to really understand all of those issues is really important. So taking that moratorium, to give the time to study, because there were a number of issues that seemed quite specific, so I could pull it all up and we could, but since you guys didn't have a chance to review that, I don't think we have to dive too far in, because it sounds like there is support for investigating this further, and so we'll bring it to council.
A lot of it is, we need time to look at our infrastructure, so
Yes.
if we can't handle it, we can't handle it, we gotta.
Absolutely, and I would like to know the specifics of the rail yards inquiries, what were the details there? And so maybe it means having a conversation with Jody
Yeah.
from Mutsego now about how they were contacted and what the details were.
I could inquire, see what happens.
Yeah,
That would be great.
that would be great.
Thank you.
Because I think it sounds like there's definitely some questions around that, and we'd like to, because that might help us understand, like, what is the interest here, and, understand what kind of scope we're looking at, for any future proposals. Okay. Anything else with this?
But this, I do think we
Yeah.
should move on fast on.
Yeah.
I think this should be something that we get on quickly, faster
Absolutely.
maybe than.
And again, talking about timing, because, to get ready for the next council meeting would be within a couple of days. Would it be realistic to have something by then, or for the next council meeting?
I think it would be realistic to have that.
It may be realistic to have a discussion,
Okay.
laying something to be voted on with
Yeah,
likely the
okay.
next meeting, but we
That's a
may
good
have
idea.
either a
So
draft
maybe-
or
yeah.
at a minimum, just a discussion item,
Even, yeah,
round table or at the end.
Right.
okay. Great.
I think you can have the basic one drawn, so we
Yeah.
can discuss
Yeah.
off of it.
Yeah,
And then if we make any changes to it, then they have time to fine tune it, and then, if I remember, it's gotta be laid
I think
Right.
so,
before we
right,
can.
yep. Because then there'll have to be, public hearing, right?
And, yes,
So-
and a discussion.
Okay. So we'll move it along, but we will also be very thoughtful about how we're
Yes,
moving it along, okay?
right. Efficient and thorough.
Yes. Any other thoughts then? Okay.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts.
Yes, a lot of thoughts, and thank you for the research on that was very helpful. All right, brush and yard waste collection. And I see we have extra information here.
Yes, so.
Where are we- yeah.
As I reported at the last, I think it was one of the two previous council meetings, we had a brief discussion about brush and yard waste collection. This year, DPW is doing it slightly different than last year. Actually, we started this last year, midway through
October, September.
October. So we're picking up once monthly citywide, so no one has to figure out or remember what ward they're in if they're not sure. The schedule's been put out on social media, city website, and all of that. What we'd like to do is obviously to work our way toward voluntary compliance with the schedule, so we don't have a lot of bags sitting out in the intervening weeks, and so we're not asking DPW to go out additional days and weeks when they're not scheduled to. Understanding that's not gonna be perfect. So just a little data from DPW on April 6th through the 9th, their first collection week this year, they spent approximately 160 labor hours collecting 8.5 tons of brush and yard waste from 228 properties citywide.
Wow.
Others, which we don't have a count on, would have brought their brush and yard waste at any time to the collection site on Silas Lane. Over the last few business days, code enforcement drove the city and identified a total of 50 what would be violations. So properties that still have brush and yard waste piled at the curb outside of the collection schedule. I can send these to you, the list if you'd like, but we have 7 in Ward 1, 13 in Ward 2, 5 in Ward 3, 1 in Ward 4, 3 in the 5th Ward, 15 in the 6th Ward, 1 in the 7th Ward, and 5 in the 8th Ward. That's just to give you an idea. So if we were to enforce these as code violations, which they are technically, to have debris piled at the median or in the sidewalk outside of this collection schedule, it would be looked at as a code violation, and we could send in, eventually we could send around city staff through code enforcement to clean up these areas on their own and then bill back, similar to how we do with trash. We have not done that in the past, and we're not looking to create headaches for people or animosity amongst city residents, but understanding that that's a possibility in an attempt to encourage compliance, we've drafted a letter that could come from the code office to these properties that may not be aware of the collection schedule or have lost sight of the fact that they have brush sitting out in front of their yard when it shouldn't be, that just explains the code and explains the current brush schedule, collection schedule, what the rules are, and asks for their compliance. So that's what's drafted, the letter, and then the attachment to the letter, which is the front and back 2026 brush and yard waste collection, which lists all the details of the rules and also includes when and where they can drop off if they would prefer. So that would be our next step in trying to communicate with specifically those who have brush and yard waste out by the curb when they shouldn't. Send them a letter. It's not a violation. We're not paying a fee. We're not going and cleaning it up. But it would just be another way to communicate with them. I expect we would hear feedback from that, and we'd have people calling council members and perhaps sending correspondence to the city clerk. So I wanted to make sure that we had this committee's input before we do anything like that. So we're on the same page. We can take any approach you'd like, but this might be something that helps get that voluntary compliance. No one likes to see bags sitting out for weeks at a time. Also, they get to be wet, they get to be heavy, and then it becomes an issue for our public works employees. Potential injuries can ensue if you try to pick up a bag that's too heavy. And they're going to try to pick it up and to take care of it because they're conscientious and want to do their job. So as much as we can limit the amount of bags left out for weeks at a time, everyone would be better off. Chris, do you want to add anything?
One thing I want to add is if the bags are too heavy, you go flag and then leave a sticker and not take the bag.
Okay.
So,
Okay. That's good.
And I know I noted that I like the idea of being proactive. I also appreciate you proactively bringing us the letter to bring it to our attention because it sounds like in the past, this type of letter has not always been received very well. So we wanted to make sure that council members were aware of it and that we're all in agreement with this type of approach. Any thoughts?
So can I point out a slight flaw for this next pickup? May 1st is a Friday.
It's May 11th, and I think we can revise the image, the text.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I see
It's
that.
printed.
The two ones are together.
The font
It is very
is
Oh, yeah.
like one.
That's 11?
It
That's
is.
11.
Technically is, but I don't blame you for not seeing that because it's.
It looks
it's
like a
typo.
one.
Okay. Well, whoever I just called out, I guess it's on me, not on you.
No, that's
No, it's
that's
probably-
good to correct.
it
because
is.
We want people to clearly understand that it's for the 11th through the 14th, not for 2 full weeks.
Right,
That's a very different proposal.
yep. And
I
if
mean, even
you've
with my
done,
glasses, I still don't see it. So.
Yeah,
if you've done it, then other people have done it.
oh, look at the June one, that looks like June 1 instead of June 11th.
Yep.
I just told him to stop and then he did that.
Anyway,
Right.
yeah.
Sounds like it's going to be amended.
None of the other,
You?
None of the
But yeah.
other numbers are as illegible as
Yeah,
that.
I know, it's a weird font thing.
Yeah, it is.
Playing the font.
Mm-hmm.
It looks fine on the screen, I'm just saying.
It's the print, it looks fuzzier, right?
It looks fine on the screen.
It does. You can read it on this.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Also,
Right.
if I'm being nitpicky about font, it says leaf and brush pickup started April 6th. The exclamation point is a little close. I mean, it looks a little, doesn't it look a little, I don't know.
That's an exclamation point? I thought that was just like
No, it is,
It
right?
is. It's, you know what, and she's right, if you look at it on the screen, it looks different than printed out.
I don't know.
We can alter the
But
graphic.
yeah, it sounds like
For
the,
the
it sounds
letter
like
to
the
be
font
printed.
needs to be altered on the graphic.
If you want to be
There is no
nitpicky
word.
about that.
Don't.
Legibility.
If you want people saying the 6th or whatever that is.
I'm gonna make a suggestion to the Daily Star
Yeah.
that you watch your font when you make your paper, because
That's right.
What do you think, what do we think about the letter though? Do we say
Um,
French?
Yep, I think so. I think it's well worded.
Mhm. Yeah, I read through it here while we were
instead
discussing.
of, I'm just trying to think.
Mhm.
Are we doing any, is this going to everybody or only when they find a violation?
If we find a violation, this is intended to go
Yeah.
to that address, the owner of that address.
It's just a warning to start.
So, yeah.
We're just letting them know what the policy is. And I think the idea was, if I get this correct, that we're giving everybody kind of a grace period while we implement this at first, and we're not looking to start violations now,
That's what I'm
right?
saying, because this is so new, like we
Yeah,
completely,
that's-
we completely modify this. now.
That's why this is our education piece while we get this implemented.
I was almost wondering, would it be better to put out an education piece first, saying, hey, we completely changed this program, here's the changes, so you guys have to be aware. You know that it's once a month,
Mhm.
and it's at the beginning versus, you know, citywide, it's no longer goes by ward.
And I think it's been
And
sent out, I know
then
an
this could
email
be your
and it's-
secondary, this could be your secondary after that goes out, that people still aren't following. That they get this as a landowner, or homeowner, whatever, and then there is no more excuse if they get the violation on the third time.
And how would you like it sent? Because I think it's gone through Facebook and Nixle so far. And I don't know if there's a plan, but I think it usually goes out like as a reminder in the weeks prior. Do you think that's enough communication, or do you think we need a different kind of communication added there?
Well, not everybody's on Facebook and not everybody's signed up for Nixon.
Right.
True.
Not everybody gets
Do
a
you think
Daily
they need a
Star.
hard copy?
Sorry, I didn't mean to, not everybody gets a Daily Star.
Yeah.
I think they need a hard copy.
A citywide
Like
mailing?
a mailer?
It could just be like a postcard, doesn't have to be anything
Mhm.
like super.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Again, like I said, I like a proactive approach, so I mean, that's very proactive, letting everybody know.
Mhm.
And then maybe even fewer violation, you know, warning letters, let's say, you know, go out.
And this, I like this letter for, yeah, after that,
Yeah,
you know,
Mhm.
so that'll be the
if
fun.
it's like, if, I don't know, I'm just picking a date, I'm not saying this date, but say like July 1st,
Yeah.
this would be what they would use, because plenty of time
Oh,
for
as
the
far as
postcard to go out,
enforcing?
people get used to it. And then by, when you get towards, after July, the month of July,
Yeah, I was gonna
August,
say,
then
what do
we
you
get your
have?
violation, because we
Yeah.
don't know what else to do at this point.
Yeah.
We could come up with a postcard and send out, you know, as soon as we're able to come up with it. And then we could start sending these letters out in May, following the May pickup. It's still just a warning.
Right,
And we could come back to this committee in the end of May and report how many violators there were and
Yeah.
decide where to go from there.
I think that's a good
Take it a
idea.
month at a time. So we won't start issuing any admin fees or anything like that before we're all.
Yep. So we'll talk about that at our May meeting then. With, we'll see what kind of data, you know,
So you got a little work to do.
was that?
Sixth Ward's got a little work to do.
Little. All right, well, thank you for that suggestion. It sounds like we have that worked out. Any other thoughts on that? Anything we need to, before we move on to our final topic, which is prioritization of street and sidewalk improvements. Do we have a report or a presentation?
So
or
we
something,
have,
right?
a visual to show.
Okay,
This is the consultant we hired, City Logic, to do a inventory and assessment of all of our sidewalks. This is very similar to the assessment that was done for our pavement assessment and inspection.
Is that the roads?
Click on, can't read it here. Click on that blue toggle up there, Carrie. And I want to select that pull down. It says sidewalk. This one here, sidewalk. Good. So this is the sidewalk evaluation. Carrie, you can zoom into here.
I can't see it up there.
Oh,
Sorry.
you can zoom into this.
Okay.
There you go.
So basically,
oh, it shows
the,
both sides.
there's both sides. So it's basically very similar to the pavement condition index, rating from 0 to 100, 100 being the best, brand new sidewalk, 0 being the worst. The green areas, the dark green are the sidewalks that are newer, and the red areas are sidewalks that need to be addressed. If you could go back to that pull down again. So there's one for distresses, sidewalk distresses, third one from the bottom. So these are all the different types of distresses. You can zoom into a street and kind of start clicking on a few of them to show them what some of them mean. So like the ones that look like little lightning bolts, there's cracks, if I recall correctly. And then the triangles, I forget, that's heaved sidewalk. What's the circles, blue circles? Surface distortion. And that's the other thing, as we're clicking through these, there's actually an image they took of the distress, so you can see what the issue is.
And that's all done through scanning, like,
That's all
yeah.
done with someone riding down a sidewalk with a scooter, I think it was.
I didn't see it, but yeah.
Because this is just an incredible level of detail.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of detail.
Yeah.
But if you could go back to the other map that shows the distresses in color. Yep. Yep, and zoom back out to the whole city.
Sorry, it's my first day with the.
It's okay.
You want to follow that?
Yeah, I just want to show, so you can see that this area here is really in need of some sidewalk work. The other areas are not so bad, they're excellent, good, fair, I would say. So as far as sidewalk repairs, I'm thinking our prioritization should be areas in red, there's some down here as well, but generally it's really, this area is in need of some sidewalk work. Any questions?
I think part of the reason that this came up too was that there were some questions about adding some sidewalks, right? And somebody brought something to you? And then somebody, I know that we had gotten a letter about adding sidewalks on like North Sixth Street, for instance,
Yeah.
and, right, was there one?
I had talked about East Street.
You, okay, yep,
We had
And then-
East Street, there was some down in the Sixth Ward, I think Katie brought up in
Right.
hers. Then we had somebody that wrote something, Market Street, then we had
Oh, Newell Park, I think.
Newell Park.
Oh,
was
Newell
one.
Park, yep.
North Sixth
North
Street.
Sixth Street.
And then
I
something
had
about Gardner, not
Gardner
Gardner
had
or whatever,
come up to
coming out of
me.
the Wilbur Park and,
Yep.
or Wilbur Apartments.
If you start looking here on the map, you can see how many streets don't have sidewalks at all. These ones
Yeah.
here do not have any sidewalks at all. If you go, zoom out, you kind of see some more. There's a lot of areas down here in the Sixth Ward that have no sidewalks, a lot of areas up here in the Fifth Ward.
Yeah, because like I know one of the big ones is like, the reuse center was on us.
Yes.
Okay,
In the
going from there to where the
Yeah.
old Moose Club was, because there's no sidewalk there,
you're
it's just
right,
a
I
road.
was just over there.
You know, but now people are actually walking down through there and it just kind of stops at, I think it's Gilbert Street, all of a sudden sidewalk, well, no, it's before
Yeah,
Gilbert Street
West
stops.
Broadway, like you're missing.
Yeah, 'cause that
you're
was
missing
on the edge
nothing
there.
near West Broadway,
Because it's mostly been
Little Heights
industrial
Avenue.
over there,
Right.
you know.
but
those-
obviously that's gonna be changing.
I would say that these are, you know, yes, definitely, these are they're going to be
Yeah.
heavily walked areas. And so in my view of this, knowing that what's going on there, you know, these streets might take more priority over a street like North Sixth because of the amount of people that be using it.
Even looking at something like this, like, is that Wilcox, right, where there's green
Yeah,
up
right here,
there, and then
yes.
there's nothing?
That's Wilcox.
You just
Yeah,
like,
it just stops,
just
it
stops.
stops right at the Boys Club, the Girls
Yeah.
Club, stops.
Yeah, and there's nothing on the other side. So, I mean, we have some places where there are some inconsistencies too, right? But I think what I did want to bring up, like with the request like for North Sixth Street or one of these steeper streets, we had talked about some of the challenges with
Stair car.
the stairs, the steepness, you know, that
ADA
residents.
accessibility.
ADA accessibility, yes, that was one of the concerns, the things that I know came up, because of course, when you have a steeper road that we're building, you know, stairs on, like even Gardner Place already has several sets of stairs on it. You know, and then of course the property owners need to be responsible for any of the sidewalks that we add to, so we do need to take that into consideration as well. But I think ultimately, the whole point of looking at this is because we know that our budget for these things is limited, and helping you to, you know, hone in on, you know, what are those areas that, you know, need the most attention. And, like, looking at this, it is very helpful to see where the concentration is, and I don't know if that's just because that's where we have the most aging infrastructure, you know, it just hasn't been updated in the longest, but,
Well, I can
I
tell
mean, it's
you,
definitely in certain, yeah, areas.
in this year's budget, we have $100,000 set aside to do sidewalk repairs.
And how much
And that's
sidewalk will that
miscellaneous,
do
that's
for
it's not
us?
getting us very much.
Yeah,
These are all basically spot repair, we're not doing any length of sidewalk, it's just
okay,
hitting the spots that are really bad, that have really heaved or really cracked. We're doing a good portion on Ford this year, which would be,
so when I hear that we
This
have
year.
money that is mostly for repairs, do we even have funding for new sidewalks this year? Like, did
we're
we
doing a
include
brand new
that?
sidewalk
Okay.
on Lawn Hill Place and
It's a
maybe
replacement.
Washington.
Right, these are replacements, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ford replacement, yep, but no new,
Yeah,
no new
So,
sidewalk.
so Lawn and Hill and Washington will be
Yeah, those
funded
are all-
through state programs, CHIPS.
Oh.
So the same programs that can fund our street milling and paving, reconstruction, can fund
Okay.
sidewalks, we using that funding for those.
is that because
Miscellaneous
we're doing
funding.
those other projects as well, that they're eligible for CHIPS? Yeah.
Right, and, yeah, so when we do like a longer stretch of replacement, we might consider
Yeah.
CHIPS. The miscellaneous pieces here and there, we try to
You
use
can't,
city
yeah.
funds, although
Okay,
just note that those are coming from the Streets and Sidewalks Reserve, they're not coming from this year's operating budget.
okay.
So we have $0 for streets and sidewalks,
Mhm, mhm.
you know, replacement or
Right.
significant rehabilitation in the city's operating fund.
We're also hoping to do East Street between Marion
Yeah.
and Graduate.
Yes.
And I know that one has been discussed for a number of years now. So,
Well, the high school is right
So I would suggest as one of our next steps is we
Yeah.
could create, or share this map with council members. And regardless of whether it's just focused on your ward or the whole city, if you look at these, understanding the conditions and where there are gaps, if you want to come up with anecdotally, based on your experience, what you hear from constituents, where you would prioritize sidewalk improvements, whether it's additional or replacement, I think that would be helpful for us to consider as we're, obviously, there are other factors that go into this. Washington Street, why are we doing that sidewalk? In addition to the fact that it's in terrible condition, we're also doing the water main first, and then we're doing the street to, after the sidewalk's done, so it kind of makes sense to order those. So we kind of layer things on if there's utility work that needs to be done. But having your feedback, I think, is valuable input. So we could just email this link, right, Chris?
Yeah.
And-
Well, it's my password.
Oh, well,
Can you send
We
maybe we
it?
have
could,
individual accounts to this.
we could have a, maybe
Like a-
Bo could create a public, or council viewable link that's
I'll have to ask
editable.
them, because there's also other things in here I really don't want edited,
Yeah.
you know, like budgetary stuff. and
Okay.
There's a whole layer here I'm not showing
But
you.
even if we could get like, I don't know, PDFs or like kind of screenshot.
Yeah,
of
maybe I'm
capturing
moving something like
different
that,
areas,
but it won't be
you know?
interactive where you can
Yeah.
click on it and see what the stress is and it won't come
I
up.
think even this level is really good. I mean, it is, it is impressive to see all the other information, but I think this is probably the level that council needs it at.
Yeah, is there a sidewalk or not, and is it
Like I said,
Good shape.
fair or poor?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna throw this out here, because I don't have to worry about state prevailing wage, and I'm going through right now, and I just did a sidewalk assessment up at work and stuff that we're doing. Numbers are high.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
just to
it
do,
is very-
like a 20-foot section, you're talking double digits.
So, and again, this is probably, just to say, explicitly that these are places that we're seeing increases in costs. And not new increases, these are continuing, increases that continue to rise.
And also
Year to
warn
year.
you, and Chris will probably back me up on it, the products aren't what they used to be, so you're not getting the length of time. Like, something that might have lasted you 30, 40 years, right now you're lucky if you're getting 20 years out of it. Because, I mean, even concrete breaks apart real quick lately.
So the investment we're making is a different level, yeah.
Greg, did you also want me to do a quick review of the pavement as well, because it's been a while since they've seen it?
Sure.
So you click on.
We looked at this last
pavement,
summer.
Evaluation. So again, this is I feel like this looks better than the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So these are
I was gonna
roads,
say it
these are
does.
now roads.
Yes.
Yeah, and on this, I noticed we have more of a couple outliers that are red, and
Yes.
the sidewalk one, it was more of a clustering.
Cluster, yeah, the sidewalks are really in this area,
Yeah.
this is kind of all over the place. If you zoom out really far, it shows the airport too. The
Oh,
airport is in
okay,
airport condition as well.
yeah,
And then if you don't mind, going back to that pull down and pulling up the pavement distresses. If you don't mind zooming in, clicking a few of those and seeing what they all are. I think it's very similar, the
yeah,
lightning bolts to cracks,
Mhm.
it's the same. Distress, pipe crack, there's a crack. And blue dots. Oh, blue dot, how about the asterisks, red asterisks? Bumpiness. How about the push pin, thumbtack,
correct.
crack, alligator crack? Oh, and so we can zoom in here? This is showing a view of this, but if you go into that image, you can zoom around, you should be able to. Yes.
And then show you the
Wow.
actual.
So you can actually zoom in and look at whatever the issue is.
And that's imagery taken by this
Yeah.
company doing the
As
evaluation.
they're scanning and entering so it's entering these little dots all along the way and recording the photos.
So we have, that's
Really
2024 data. So that was 2024 and the sidewalk for 2025. So it's already 2 years old.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How often would you think we'd look to update this, Chris, in the future?
So our contract is 3 years, so I have access to this platform for 3 years. This would be last year. As far as scanning, I think we probably do it once every 7 to 10 years. I don't think we do it every 5 years. I think we should pay for a subscription to maintain access to this information, and then maybe do a scan every 7 to 10 years, because it's very expensive.
It's a lot of work too.
Yeah. So we have to maintain our.
And it's gonna take us time to catch up.
Mhm.
You know, we're not gonna be able to
Yeah.
do all this, it's very, what we're looking at here is pricey.
Mhm.
Any questions?
No, again, the level of detail is incredible that we can get from this, and I really appreciate how having this kind of view helps us really understand,
It really
exactly
simplifies something that's
how,
complicated.
yeah, and it becomes much more about the data than it does about, opinions
Right.
on roads.
Yeah, it takes
So-
emotion out of it.
Yeah, yeah, and because this is very clear cut to look at, and then, I just really appreciate how, I feel like this kind of view is probably, again, what's most useful to council and even the public, but then I like how, the staff can dive in there and get as much detail as you need, to do your work, so,
Exactly.
that's neat.
I got a question. Do all sidewalks need to be concrete?
I mean, you like a law, new pavement.
No, I'm just asking to like, do
Other
all
materials,
sidewalks
yeah.
need to be concrete, where maybe some of the sidewalks,
Could be asphalt,
yeah.
they won't last as long. You're gonna get about 20 years out of your pavement. You get 50 to 100 years out of concrete. So, you lose longevity. In my opinion, someone may argue against that.
I was gonna argue against it, because you're not getting 50 years out of concrete.
Do some cities use also like pavers, like large slabs of slate or other kinds of?
They do, that's expensive, slate sidewalk is very expensive.
Yeah.
Brick pavers, you know, that we have on Main Street here,
Mhm.
it's a maintenance nightmare, to be honest with you. You're constantly resetting them. My hopes is that we can do what we did on the Transit Hub project, and do stamp concrete on Main Street slowly,
Mhm.
replace all those pavers because they're tripping hazards.
Yeah.
I mean, I was
Can
asking,
always be addressed immediately.
I was asking, kind of leaning towards asphalt, because that's something that we can, because right now, we hire a company to come in, and we take sidewalks out to pour and do something. Where with asphalt, and I'm not saying everywhere, I'm just saying like some of the, like, we can go through and we can patch and we can, you know,
I mean, that's how I patch tripping hazard. When someone called me and says I have a tripping hazard, I have the asphalt crew go out and they patch the tripping hazard with a little piece of asphalt. It's a quick, easy remedy.
I was just wondering if that would help us maybe get caught up in some areas where we may not need, you know, a concrete sidewalk, you know. Just thinking of
It's an
some
option.
things.
You know, like, in some cases, Galt Ave comes to mind where we paved a section with asphalt as a temporary solution, and the residents were not happy. Granted, that was a few years ago, so we haven't heard in a while. But I think you'll get some pushback if you tell certain people they're gonna asphalt instead of concrete, but that's not to say
Yeah.
not to do it.
Yeah, that, but you know, you could also look at the homeowners that have it in front of you, be like, you're using less salt because you get a little bit of blacktop showing and melts. So you're not gonna have to use all that salt out there.
And I don't know if this would be for media, but if we're thinking, you know, for future things like recommendations, like, you know, have a sidewalk in Neola Park, what about, you know, asphalt in a different place? You know, where maybe homeowners wouldn't object to it.
That's just, I was just like, I'm not,
Yeah.
it's just an idea.
Yeah,
I would say that anywhere we have curbing, we want to stick with some concrete sidewalk. Maybe where we don't have curbing, consider asphalt sidewalk instead.
To like Newer Park.
yeah, that's, I was wondering maybe Neola Park, because I could imagine people could use it for biking, right, and other purposes.
And we put in, it's not a sidewalk, but it's a walking path. The walking
Yes.
path is paved.
Yep, yep,
Mhm.
that's what, I think that's what made me think of it, actually, so.
I will tell you, roots are not favorable to asphalt. I'm sure you've
Okay.
seen the roots
Yeah.
behind the masking and kind of popping up through a little bit.
Oh,
That would not happen concrete,
okay.
but,
Pushes the whole thing up.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
But it takes time.
Yes.
Doesn't happen the following year.
Okay, that's
No,
good to
it
know.
was just the, you know, just
Yeah.
trying to think outside the box on some of these areas that are
Yeah.
red, if, you know.
Thank
Or
you.
even where we might have to add sidewalks, like, I was just thinking
Yeah.
when we get ready to do West Broadway, after the construction, everything gets done. Because, you know, they've been asking for sidewalks down there, would it be, I know at one point, I believe we had blacktop sidewalks on West Broadway, when I was growing up. Many, many moons ago, if you wanna put that, back when the dinosaurs were roaming.
Well, any other thoughts or questions about sidewalks, streets?
I have something about streets, but not with this particular.
Well, I think that would wrap up our topic, so if there's anything else we want to bring up now, we
I
can.
have.
Yeah.
I have one question just to
Yeah.
conclude that discussion. Do you want this back on next month's agenda, and maybe in the meantime, we send out an email with
Yeah.
some maps to council members to give us
Kind of
their
look at the
input?
sidewalk.
We can review
Yep.
that, and that would feed into our capital plan for next year.
I think so. So, that makes sense?
Or even given 2 months, I don't know how quickly it may pass.
You had something you?
I do.
Yeah, she,
Okay.
I do. It's not my thing. It's a council person approached me about a request for looking at the utility costs,
Mm-hmm.
the old transit location and the new transit.
Do we have that? Like, yeah.
it's so new, I'm not sure. we'd have-
Yeah, I'm not sure if we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
that data available.
Sorry, what was the specific request for operating costs?
The utility costs?
Yeah, utilities specifically, right?
I thought so.
Yeah, we can look at that. Obviously, we're a few months into the year. We'll have a few months of data in the news center. It'll show the winter months with the snow melt system and everything else. That's something you want to give a few more months and bring back. After we've got 6 months of data, we'll have some of the summer months, we can see the difference.
Yeah, we could. That'd be better.
That'll lead into
Yeah.
the budget discussion as well. Specifically utility costs.
Is that what it was? Sounds like, yeah.
We're getting close to budget discussions, aren't we?
Yeah, it's around the corner.
I don't really know the purpose. It was a request that was placed to me as the finance chair, so I thought maybe the click would be a better fit.
I think you need at least 6 months to
Yeah,
try to.
Yeah.
evaluate,
Get an idea.
right? Yeah, get a sense of the trend.
And this, you also gotta, I mean, you gotta be careful too, because if you look at
Yeah.
this winter
Very
versus the winter
Oh,
before
yeah.
this, because this was a harsher winter than the winter before, and then, you
I
know,
know.
I was
so
even
it's
thinking
kind of
the
hard.
space is different too, so
And the
that's,
space is
that's difficult
entirely
to
different.
compare.
So I don't know if it's like comparing apples and oranges, really.
Right, and, I mean, I
I
don't
mean,
know
it's
what
good
our
to
lease
know what
was
we're
with
spending,
with
but-
utilities, with heat and all that stuff. I think really gotta do this year and do next year, compare them to themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Yeah, that feels more like a comparison than the old site to the new site.
I think so
It's
too.
not, yeah.
because the old site, you had to pay the lease,
That's
plus
true.
whatever else we were doing,
Yeah.
plus, you know.
Yeah, I guess you think about what is the outcome, what takeaway, what decision are you making based
Right.
on the analysis? And if it
Exactly.
said that the current transit center is more expensive to operate because it's bigger and has more going on than
Right.
the rented space, what comes from that? Or is it more of a,
Yeah, like,
we're doing a budget exercise
Yeah.
and, you know, did our actual operating costs meet or exceed our budget, and how are we budgeting for next year, which is something we do internally.
Sure.
Certainly we can share that.
yeah. But I think that is the question. It's kind of like, all right, so we have this data and we can compare it. What's the end game here? What do we want to see happen? It's, to me, I mean, you can't compare because one is a much
Yeah.
smaller space.
Well, and I think, like was mentioned too, there's other expenses like the lease that we used to pay for that we don't pay for, and how do you figure that
Yeah.
into a comparison?
Right, yeah, exactly. And also, if I'm not mistaken, the New York State DOT pays for, well, is a contributor to those costs anyway. So it's kind of like, if the question is, well, how are we going to pay for it? We have answers. It's not an unknown known. Or I should say a known unknown.
You could, like, say, if you went from 400 square foot to 2,000 square foot, of course you're gonna be a higher
Yeah.
operating cost.
Right, so that
Well-
seems pretty obvious, and then, I mean, we intuit that, and then also, we have solutions to those higher costs. So,
I mean, if we're looking to see if our estimates are right on, if the radiant heat was cheaper, if we
Yeah.
insulated it the right way, if we did everything we said we were going to do was really, that's
working out,
how we gotta figure it out,
right,
so.
so I think that is, it. To go back to Greg's point, it begs the question, kind of, to what end?
Just what are we gonna do?
Yeah, right.
Kind of late at this point, we can do close it down.
Sorry, folks.
We try, we fail, I don't know.
Ribbon cutting's tomorrow,
No, that's right.
call it a day.
Everybody should come out for the ribbon cutting. Good.
So since we're on the bus topic, because that's where my kind of went,
Yeah.
is the parking in front of the old bus station, because I've seen a lot of near misses there right now, and people walking out between cars, and I think either we gotta figure something out. We gotta at least enforce it if we're not gonna change it.
Yep.
Even though,
Our intent is to change it. We don't have that agenda tonight because we don't have it all written and mapped out. But the intent is to have parallel parking spaces painted along that curb from a point to be determined to a point to be determined, basically where the buses were historically.
I'm gonna probably disagree with that, because the amount of near misses and stuff that I see, cars pulling in, people jetting out. We had the same problem when the buses were there, with the traffic, with pedestrians jetting in and out.
What would you rather see there happen?
I'm just also like watch the traffic back up. We had that with the buses when they backed up, the traffic backs up, so the turn lane, you can't get over to the turn lane because you got the straight lane backing way down. I'm just, if we're gonna look at it, I think we should look at it as how much of this lane do we want coming back, so you can get to the turn lane and you can get to the straight lane.
So that there's enough space in front of it?
I'm not saying no parking, although that,
I see.
I would probably say that, but
Yeah.
I just think, you know, because you are backing it up, and then as we do get busier and busier, you
Right?
start watching it, remember summer I was watching it too, where it starts backing up down towards the other traffic light in front of the fire station,
Mhm.
you know, so, and you got cars that are trying to come in and out of the Clinton,
It's true,
and
it's
it's
kind of a
hard.
mess. Mhm.
So are you suggesting extending the eastbound, northeastbound left turn lane that goes from Main onto Chestnut?
Yeah, because you get more, I think you get more cars trying to turn. Again, this is just observation, I
Yeah.
never took the numbers, I never
Yeah.
sat there and counted it, I never,
I hadn't thought about doing that, but yeah, it is a busy intersection,
It
that's for
is,
sure.
it's messy.
yeah. I
And,
just think you gotta,
Because it's a no turn on red as well,
Right.
right? No right on red, so.
and you got a lot of cars going left, and you got,
We're trying to get into
Just-
Clinton Plaza.
and then you got the cars trying to get into Clinton Plaza, plus you got the cars that are trying to go straight up Main Street.
That's right.
You know,
People
Main
get
Street
in-
gets backed up
They do, it
because,
does.
Yeah.
And
Coming
people get
off-
impatient. I've
Yeah.
seen people get quite impatient if they're waiting for somebody to turn left.
Yeah.
So,
and then if you get a car trying to go or park on Main Street, they hold all that traffic up, so the ones coming off of Chestnut to turn left, they can't get over there. So everything starts backing back down through towards the police station.
So, let me ask too, because I think when we had this conversation about, you know, we did talk about this, area when we were talking about setting the agenda for tonight, and I knew it wasn't ready, but there was also some discussion of maybe re-looking at the lanes and the parking on the other side as well, right? Eventually.
Yeah, so I think when, you know, that stretch of road from the intersection of Main and Chestnut to the highway, exit 14, is a DOT road, so we just do pothole patching and basic maintenance, so if there's a mill and pave project, that's something New York State DOT does. That's not on their plans in the near future right now, so it might be a while, absent another project that we could propose to redo lane alignments, but looking at, can we have bike lanes that extend, you know, from where it ends now and have that connect somewhere that makes sense? Also looking at parking, maybe narrowing lanes, extending a left turn lane. I think that's something, a conversation we can initiate with DOT, but I don't know how quickly anything might be implemented.
Okay. So that's a decision that would need to involve, you know.
So, yeah, I think any
Yeah.
changes in lanes, even the parking, would have to be something discussed with DOT.
Okay.
Chris had something to add.
I was gonna ask, I was wondering if we should get a consultant involved, get recommendations, maybe a traffic study done at the intersection, although I know it's DOT's
They might be willing to look at that
with us.
with their staff or consultants. They have in the past, when we've had issues at
Yeah,
that
because I remember it
intersection.
wasn't too long
They
ago.
made some tweaks
Yeah.
to the timing of it, so they'll look at it with us. Maybe we don't have to spend a lot of money on it right now, but we can work with them.
Yeah, I think that's worthwhile because it's like one of our busiest intersections. And, you know, like I said, it's not just that one intersection, it's that area, you know,
It's the
there's
whole area.
several intersections, you know, that, you know, converge towards that one area. So I think if New York State is willing to do some, study too, that would be beneficial, to us as well, to help guide those decisions.
In the meantime, what do we want to do about the parking situation in that stretch? Just as is?
If we're gonna take the bus lane out, just take the bus lane out and just let it be a lane. I mean, you can't leave it as a bus lane and we're not using it, and people are just parking there because that's starting to cause issues, and
Yeah, you can either enforce no parking, potentially do something to make it be more apparent that there's no parking, hash marks or something like that. But you can't create a new drive lane without a study and coordination with DOT and all that. That drive lane, it kind of just ends.
So a suggestion of the
Like
the
having,
extra right lane.
so I would put no parking area now, whatever, do your hashes or whatever, enforce it.
Are you talking about the turn there by Green Earth? Is that the?
No, this
bus
is where
lane.
it used to be the bus lane. And people have been parking there in the old bus lane. And the intention was initially to make that into parking, but now we're having a discussion about whether or not that will happen, right? So where the buses used to park.
Right in front of
Street.
Old Palestine, right there.
Okay.
Right. So we're hoping to get some input from the state then, as far as the study or further guidance? Yeah.
Also, a map would be good.
Yeah. Anything else? All right, I think we're all set then to adjourn at 6:16.